Hello, everyone. Welcome back once again. I'm Nicodemus Kane, and today is October the 5th of 2022. Today's a 501, a 105, 501. It's just another one of those numbers. It's just another one of those numbers that you see. 501 being May Day, which is one of their pagan holidays. But at the same time, we can reverse most of these numbers. So today is the 105. It's 10-5. Again, not saying anything's coming, just saying that, you should always be wary, especially around this season, because so many things like to magically happen at the end of the year before everything resets and starts over again. So just watch yourselves and keep an eye out on things. What was I gonna? There was a. Let me pull it up here. I just heard about it yesterday. Executive Order 14067, something that was signed in about a month ago, maybe. I don't even know. Apparently, it is a new executive order that allows the United States government to really start looking into digital currencies, central bank digital currencies. They don't even hide it anymore. And several of the items inside of it, it's pretty long and pretty wordy. Um, Basically, it talks about 180 days from the point of that executive order. Reports will be given to the President of the United States, which I doubt, that will explain how the United States government can use central bank digital currencies in order to protect the future of money. I guess that was a lot of what they were talking about. They were talking about protecting the abilities of sovereign money holders, something along those lines, so that your money can be protected. Because apparently, money can't be protected through counterfeiting and digital counterfeiting. And, they don't want to have money fall into the hands of terrorists. And of course, everybody that doesn't believe the way that they believe is now called a terrorist. So everybody's pretty much a terrorist at this point. Um, but they want to ensure the safety of your money. They want to do it for your benefit. And the main points that I got out of it, and the main points that other people have been talking about it, is that this sets up their ability to have a digital currency for the United States of America, which in turn will trickle out to the world, in which they can control everything that you buy and sell and do with your money. Every single bit of your money can be tracked and controlled. That was the other thing about it too, is that they can have the ability to control this digital currency so that it cannot be used to buy things like, I don't know, weapons or extra food or whatever. And of course, that eventually leads into, well, see, okay, here's another part of it that I forgot. So a lot of what they were talking about with this new digital currency is that it controls the amount of money that you are able to spend not only based upon the things that you buy and the things that you buy that could be dangerous to other people's health, but it also controls it based upon factors in the world that they wish to reduce, such as climate change. Yes, one of the big phrases that kept popping up inside of this executive order for whatever absurd reason, I don't even know why, was climate change. They want to be able to reduce your ability to be able to spend money on things that could increase climate change. Therefore, they want to be able to control your money so that you can't spend it on things like a little bit of extra gas in your car so that you can take a trip. Maybe that extra plane ride that you wanted to take across the country to be able to go see your parents. Or, I don't know, maybe just that extra package of meat because you wanted to make sure you had it. Now, woe be to them that want to buy extra of everything just in case. I don't know, say preppers that just want to be ready in case of an emergency, and that if you buy too much of something, well, they can very easily shut your money off because they have complete control of it. If you buy too much gasoline for your car, they can shut your money off. Or they could find some way to tax that in a way that you get more money taken out of your account. If you have no control of your money, you have no control of your life. Pretty much. This has led into what every single conspiracy theorist, every single person that has any true understanding of what's going on in the world has been talking about for years and years and years now. And they now have a system in place that allows them to check to make sure that you are following the party line. By that I mean the vaccine digital identification, the passports. They have wanted to have a digital identification for everybody in the world for years now. They called it ID 2020 because it came out before 2020, where everybody has this identification so that they can have digital dollars. They now have the infrastructure in place for a vaccine passport. They don't have to just use that for COVID. They can use that for anything. It will be a means to track you and allow you to go only where they want you to go. They can simply turn that into a passport of life, that you have to have this passport just to be able to go into a store. They have to vet you and check you and make sure that you're safe to come into this store. Should you have any mental problems on your file, or should you happen to have any social problems that could lead to you possibly doing something stupid inside of a store, they could shut that passport off and you can't go inside. That would be linked to your money, where you couldn't even buy these things online in order to be able to get them. that very easily ramps up to anyone that talks against the party, that talks against the ruling party that is in power. They could simply shut you down. We've already seen, because of this January 6th nonsense, that they can go and they can arrest whoever the hell they want to whenever the hell they want to. They now have the ability to go raid your house for no reason whatsoever. You can look at this whole Trump Mar-a-Lago thing with the FBI. Apparently, the FBI has been raiding more than just that house. They can do this whenever they want to because they're trying to get you to understand that if you go against them, they have the ability to come against you. And the biggest way they're doing this right now is they're taking away your ability to buy and sell. They're taking away your ability to have money in order to be able to provide for your family, to provide for yourself, to be able to have all the freedoms that you've had up until this point. And a lot of people may look at that and they may say, well, that's not... It's not that big of a deal. You shouldn't have to, I don't think they're going to do all of this to us. And, it's just conspiracy talk, man. They're not going to get that far into it. Well, you don't know that. You don't know that. You don't know what they can do. You don't know how bad this could get. What I am saying is that infrastructure, that ability for them to be able to do that is absolutely in place. So that they could pull that trigger whenever they wanted to. Not only that, but it ties into a lot of other things. So you have the digital currency that they can control, where just about everything, this quote-unquote Internet of Things, just about everything that you do in your life is on a digital system now that can be tracked. Your electricity, your gas, your water, just damn near everything can be tracked now. Oh, you used a little bit too much electricity, this month. You had your air conditioner on just a little bit too long. Oh, you used a little bit too much gas this winter. A little bit too much natural gas. And you have to understand that there's only so much natural gas left to go around. You took a trip in your car. You went a little bit too far in your car. You put a little bit too much gas in. You're gonna have to have some kind of demerit on you because you're not going to be allowed to do that because of climate change. Because they have convinced the world that everything is going to end unless we stop it now. Unless you stop it now, unless we do these absolutely drastic things, nothing is ever going to change. So what we have to do is we have to make sure that all of the plebs do as we say as fast as possible. And the best way that we can get them to do that is to take away their money. We have to tax you even more because the climate. Oh no. Which is exactly what they want. They want everything to be taxed. Every time you go a little bit too far, every time you do something that's a little bit too out of the ordinary, they want to tax you. Not like you're not getting taxed enough as it is. You have to remember, taxation becomes slavery eventually. Because you really don't have any complete control over how much you get taxed anymore. You may think you do, but you don't. Because they have slowly bumped the taxes up year upon year upon year. to where we're getting close to the point. I think we're up to 40%. We're getting pretty close to that 50% point. Once they take more than half of what you make per year, you're under slavery. That's just all I can say about that. But they have taxed everything. You are getting taxed off of your ass. It is, if you believe your own history, the founders of the United States of America held a revolt because they just wanted to put another tax on them that would tax them more than 3%. I think it's what it was. It was either 3% or 15%. I don't remember exactly what it was. We are taxed up to 40% at this point. And they want to keep adding on to it. It becomes a social credit system like we see in China. It's not going to be called that, but that's exactly what it's going to be. You did too much of this, so you have to be taxed. You used too much of this, so you have to be taxed. That is a social credit system. You're not doing enough for the world, so you have to be hurt in some way, shape, or form. That is exactly what this is. It is just the ultimate means of control. But that is in place along with this new, which one was it? The patent, the WO060606, 2020, WO 2020 060606, where it is a device that mines cryptocurrency based upon the body's movements. I don't know exactly how it works, but it said that there is some kind of device that is on you or in you, which will send a signal to your phone or to another device in your house, or near you, I should say, that will send a signal out into the internet that lets that know what you've done. Whether it is taking a walk, doing some exercise, lifting a box so many times, doing X amount of work on a computer, whatever. It will track those movements. And then it will mine cryptocurrency based upon those movements. In other words, it tracks your movements. It can be scaled up to the point that it will track your movements to pay you a specific amount of money for the things that you do. Now, this isn't going to be like for Joe Schmo's, $15 an hour job that he works 8 hours a day for. This is going to be tied into something, say like, could be tied into something, say like universal basic income, which is what they've been talking about for years now. Is that instead of paying people what they're worth, everybody just gets a set amount of money so that they can, quote unquote, enjoy the spoils of life together. It's interesting that one of the, it was actually two of the numbers that they started talking about was, it was $1,200 a month, or I think it was $800 a month. It was either $600 or $800 a month. It was one or the other. They didn't know exactly what it was. It's interesting, though, that the two payouts that we got, that everybody got in the tax refunds, the stimulus packages, one of them was $700 and then one of them was $1,400, which is almost right on top of those points, of those price points, where they say that they can make a universal basic income of X amount of dollars per month for people to live on. So I just thought it was one of those funny little things that they happen to do. So they give you a universal basic income in which you can be tracked on the things that you do. Your body can be tracked on the things that you do in order to be sure that you're either working or you're doing the right things, like, I don't know, walking to work or jogging to work, doing your exercises, not using a car, not using any kind of public transport. Think about that for a second. This thing can track your movements in order to be able to pay you. And then they put something into effect where they say, well, instead of taking a car today, we want you to walk to work. We want you to walk down to the bus station. We want you to do whatever it is, ride a bike. If you're doing these things, we can reward you. We have the ability to make sure that you're following your orders. Because you got to remember, without this tracking system, without them knowing what your body is doing, they can't know if you're riding a bike. They can't know if you're walking. All they can do is track your phone. Because they track your phone anyway, so you have to understand that. Your phone knows exactly where you are all the time. It's listening to you constantly. All you got to do is just say, hey Siri, or hey Alexa, or whatever the hell it is. I don't know what it is. It's constantly listening to you, waiting for you to say a certain amount of words in order for it to turn on a program. So the phone is constantly tracking itself, updating itself, knowing where you are because you are constantly carrying your phone around. The only thing your phone cannot tell is whether it was what your body's doing. There's an app that we have. It's MyFitnessPal that we use to track how many steps we take in a day for exercise. Imagine if there was a tracking device that they made you wear, like a bracelet, maybe something that could track everything your body does in order to know, again, whether you walked to work or whether you took a bus, took the train, took your bike, did something that they wanted you to do, because they don't want you driving a car. They've already said that. They want to get rid of gas-powered cars because gas-powered cars are killing the environment. So it would be very easy for them to give you this cryptocurrency scanner on your body that you have to wear. You have to wear this for identification. Or it could be inside your body. I don't know how. Maybe a microchip. Maybe some kind of patch. Maybe some kind of injectable. I don't know. I don't really know. But it can be used to track your movements during the day for what they want you to do. And if you don't do what they want you to do, you don't earn your money. If you do what they want you to do, you earn your money for the day. It's not just for mining cryptocurrency. It could very easily be for what you do during the day. And if you don't do what they want, they could very easily just shut your money off. You don't get it. And it doesn't even have to be for a job. It just has to be for your universal basic income. You have to follow what they want you to do. That ties in again with a passport to be able to get into stores. They already have stores now where you have to wave your hand in front of a scanner so that they know who you are. So that whenever you buy your stuff and you scan your hand, then it will know who you are, and it'll immediately take the money out of the bank account that you tied into that handprint. This is an actual thing now. That it's tied to your biometric handprint, because everybody has different handprints. They're all different. That again could very easily become a microchip. We've talked about this. I've had videos on YouTube that have been yanked away because I've talked about this a little bit too much. The microchip that they want to put into people, and they've said they want to put this in everybody as some kind of, digital wallet, digital ID. This goes along with the ID 2020, digital ID, this everything. They say the best place to be able to put this on a human body is right at the skin flap that connects your thumb to the rest of your hand, because you produce a vast amount of heat, and heat is what they have to use to charge the battery of these chips. So your thumb, for whatever reason, that little place right there, it produces heat, which can keep recharging the battery of this chip. They said the only other place that is like that is right on top of your forehead, because your forehead constantly gets heat too. I don't know how that works, but it does work. They said there was a couple other places on the body too, but they wouldn't work as well trying to scan them as store. It's very, very easy for them to just put a chip in your hand, and you just wave your hand over a scanner, and you walk out. I was hearing this stuff back in 2017, 2018. This is real stuff now that has actually come into effect within 2020. 2022, sorry. But they've had it sooner than that. They actually had the microchip thing in Wisconsin and Sweden by 2018, 2019, somewhere around in there. So this is a thing that is happening, and it keeps ramping up, and it gets faster and faster and faster. With the new patents that have come out, the WO 2020-06-06-06, again, that could be used either for a working system, for someone to be able to track their movements during the day to make sure they are working, or to make sure that you are doing the things that they want you to do during the day, that you're not just going out and driving your car around, that you're walking, that you're riding your bike, that you're doing all the things, all the good for the environment. They can very easily do this stuff with your tracking chip inside of your hand or a bracelet. There's so many people now that have sold themselves out to these, what are they called? Not the BitFits, but the watches, the Apple watches. It's absolutely ridiculous. You're putting this EMF emitting device on your wrist. But so many people wear those too. Those could very easily be converted into something that could just track you straight out. That would send it to your phone, what you're carrying anyways. I always thought it was ridiculous. Why in the world would you have a watch that can do everything that your phone does, yet you're still carrying your phone? It's the most absurd thing I ever heard in my life. But whatever. But they could very easily do that in order to be able to track every movement you make, to make sure that you are following what they want you to do. Now you have to remember, this isn't going to be for everybody. It's not going to be for everybody, because they're not going to be able to convince every single person in the world to do it. I could probably see if you had maybe, 500 million people, they would probably be able to fall in line and follow this kind of thing. It flows along with, everything we've heard up until this point. Keep the population below 500 million. in order to live in perfect harmony and the whole spiel. You know, that was written on the Georgia Guidestones. That is pretty much exactly what just about every billionaire has ever asked for. There are too many, Ted Turner saying there are too many people in the world. You know, on another occasion, he said if we could take away, how many people did he say? At the time he said it, there were only like 4 billion people, and if he said we could take away 3 billion people, 3.5 billion people, something like that. I mean, he didn't get right on the 500 million, but he got really damn close. Jane Goodall just recently talking about how she wishes the population could go back down to where it was 500 years ago. 500 years ago, the world population was estimated to be around 500 million. You know, that's what they want. They keep saying it over and over again. It's just people are too, I'm not going to say stupid. They're too blind. They're too blind to see it. We have learned over and over again as we have read the Bible that God blinds their eyes because they don't want to see the truth. They are too wrapped up in their own unrighteousness that they don't want to see the truth. They love their own unrighteousness. They love having the things of this world. So God lets them have the things of this world. There's only so many of us that he's waking up. Because there's only so many of us that get to go. I keep saying this over and over again. If you want your family, your loved ones to truly, truly hear this message, you have to come at them in every way, shape, or form. You can't just go to them and say, oh no, the world's going to end, the world's going to do this, the world's going to do that. You have to come to them with love and understanding. Show them where this stuff is. Show them all of these little things. My father, even though he had already said that he doesn't want to believe, I talked to him, showed him everything. Point blank, he didn't want to believe a single word of it. Right towards the end of the conversation that we had, the last conversation that we had, I was telling him about the money, about the banking systems and the process that they're putting together, the microchips, how it was all, tying together. And I was starting to see a little bit of a break. Just to see a little mental break in there. Maybe that's what you need. Maybe in order to be able to wake up your loved ones, you need to try every little thing. Just see what one thing sticks. Because all of this stuff is out here now. Anybody can look this stuff up anymore. They don't even hide very much of it. You might have some problems with some fact checkers. And it's not too hard to be able to go to a fact-checking website and then go to their about section and find out who is funding them. To see who is putting their money into the fact checks in order to manipulate the system. It's not even that. Most of the fact checks are just ridiculous anyways. I was reminded couple days ago about what was the fact check? Oh, I'm right here too. I'm on my Facebook. Hold on a second. It was the injections for the virus that shall not be named. Were containing online reports that the virus that cannot be named, the injections that they give out to people for these, were containing graphene oxide. I could probably say that and probably get my video taken down. But they were unfounded. The allegation is based on analysis by a professor in Spain, which has been rejected by experts. He obtained what he himself described as a non-conclusive results, blah, 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 from one of his files. And Pfizer told Reuters, its injections did not contain the material. The material is also not listed in any of the widely available, which they're not, widely available virus that shall not be named injections worldwide. The verdict of this fact check, you ready for this? Was that Pfizer said that their injections do not contain the thing that I said earlier. So basically, it was, what was the way that I described it at one point in time? Of course, I said, 4 years ago, no one knew what a fact check was. They didn't exist 4 years ago. Now they're everywhere. They're everywhere for everything. But I said, it was something along the lines of, oh God, what was it? It was so good too. I can't remember what it was now. Well, I'll just make another one up then. The the fact check is that Lex Luthor wants to kill Superman. The investigation is that we went to Lex Luthor and asked him if he wants to kill Superman. Lex Luthor said no, he doesn't want to kill Superman. So the verdict of the fact check is that because Lex Luthor says he doesn't want to kill Superman, then it is false that Lex Luthor wants to kill Superman. It's one of those types of things. It's just one of those ridiculous types of things where it's like, we went to the person that everybody keeps talking about, and they said that this doesn't exist. So if they say it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist. But but that's the fact checks. That's how ridiculous fact checks have become at this point. It's just that it is not journalism. It is not investigation. It's actually people that get paid to write up websites. So one of the things that has happened over the past 5-10 years is that they have allowed people to get on the websites and write up a 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, I don't know how many word essays, and they get paid for it. They get paid to write these things up. The way I understand it, you're given a website and you're told, go here and write up something about this product. I don't know whether they're told to write it in a good light or a bad light, but they're told to write it up. And they get paid X amount of money per word to write up, something about this product. And that's why the internet has become flooded with these completely absurd, long-worded websites that whenever you look something up and you're just like, let's just say you just want to look up something like, how do you change something in a car? How do you change a tire on a car? How do you do whatever? And you go to a website. If you don't go to a video, you go to an actual website, and it's somebody that starts out by saying changing a tire in a car is very hard. First, let's look at why a tire on a car could pop. And then you get like 5 or 6 paragraphs of, why your tire could have gone flat. What a tire is. I've seen stuff like that where, you're looking up how to, I don't know, clean something somewhere. and then they want to describe in detail the thing that you're trying to clean or the thing that you're trying to do, and it's like, I don't give a crap about this. I know what this is. I have the thing in my hand. I don't need to know, what this thing is or why it exists. I need to know how to fix this, how to do this, how to do whatever it is. Because sometimes you can't watch a video. Sometimes you're stuck in a public space where you can't have noise or you can't hear it or you don't want to piss people off, even though so many people just play a video nowadays and not give a crap. But sometimes you want to be able just to go to a website and just have somebody explain it to you word for word. And what happens is, again, you got a list of, you get 5 paragraphs describing how a thing could break. You've got another 3 paragraphs describing what the thing is that breaks. And then you've got another 3 or 4 of something else. And then you finally get to the point where it says, in order to be able to fix this, you yada, 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 yada. And then at the very end, it might be an advertisement. Well, if you need to get this fixed, then you can always go to such and such, such and such. People get paid to do that. People get paid to go out and write these things up. This was something that has been online for a long time now. I've seen them all over Craigslist. I've seen them on job sites. I've actually tried to fill out a couple of them. When I was looking for jobs, because I was looking for a work from home job. And it's interesting that they sent everybody home to work from home, and then they just had all these jobs ready to go. It would not be that hard for these write-up websites people to change their pay rates in order to get somebody to write up a fact check. It would not be that hard at all for them to say, well, you did such a good job writing up this and writing up that, and you've written all these other ones. How about something else? And we'll throw you a little extra money. All you got to do is write up something about a fact check that we got. Fact check is a new thing that we got going on here. Let's, you come over here, you write this up for us, and we'll give you all the information that you need. You don't have to worry about questioning anything. You just have to just write it up and you'll be fine. We'll give you the websites, we'll give you this, we'll give you that. And then there you go. And that's how it works. So using fact checks is ridiculous. That whole thing was just for me to say using fact checks was ridiculous. But it's something that's been on my mind for a second or two is that, I could very easily see how they could pay those people a little bit extra, the ones that do the write-ups for websites. I could see that, where they could just be like, hey man, you want to make a little bit more cash? Check this out, write this up for us, and then we'll see how it goes. That's how people get pulled into these systems, man. That's just give them a little bit more cash, promise them a little bit more, and they are detached from it. They don't care. They're just in it for the money. They're not actually. You really think that these fact checkers are really trying to find the truth? They don't give a crap. You just pay them their money and they're going to go. That's like all these other government agencies that you can see the corruption from the outside, and you wonder how these people from the inside cannot see it, and that's how it is. Just pay me my cash and I'll go, because people don't care. People don't look into these kind of things. They just want to get their money, have their bread in circuses, and feed their families. And they don't give a shit. Nobody really has any morals or values or standards anymore. But I need to tie back into what I was saying before. I kind of lost track. That came from talking to your families, using using things like this, talking about things like the patents, the money, this executive order that is going to start the process of creating central bank digital currencies. They call them CBDCs. Central bank digital currencies. They have the infrastructure in place to be able to track everything you do in order to pay you, whether it is for work or whether it is to toe the party line in order for you to get money. They have the infrastructure in place now to where they can just make a digital currency that is backed by nothing, and they can make a universal basic income because they don't have to worry about cash. Once you make everything digital, you don't have to worry about cash. Because back in the day, there used to be a point to where, there's X amount of cash in the world. That's all the cash that there is. Some people have more, some people have less. But that is all the cash that we're going to make right now. Because back in the day, it was actually backed by something. There's X amount of gold in the reserve, so we can only make X amount of cash to cover X amount of gold. They got rid of the gold standard. So now your money's value is based upon the interest that the Federal Reserve charges the American people in order to print the money that you own. It's ridiculous, I know. It doesn't even make sense when you say it, but basically they sell us cash and we buy that cash at interest so that we could have them sell more to us so that we can buy it back. But we're buying it back with the thing that they're selling to. It's completely ridiculous. I gotta take some water. Hold on a second. I had a little bit of a choke up there too. Okay. Let me take one more drink. Hold on. All right. Wow. Yeah, I took a drink and then I immediately started coughing. Like I've been talking that much. But once they get rid of your cash, once everything becomes, digital zeros and ones, they can pretty much do whatever the hell they want to. Because there's not a damn bit of it that is going to be worth anything. It will truly be a slave credit system where they will say, you will get X amount of money from us as a treat. In order to get this treat, you have to do X amount of whatever for us. Whether it is work, whether it is following a set system of whatever we tell you to do. Pretty much whatever it is. And now again, this is not going to work for 7 billion people. This is going to require a massive shift of understanding that we are starting to see it slowly but surely. We are starting to see people die off in very large numbers. Just die magically. They have invented a new term. I don't know if anybody else has understood this new term, but the term now is sudden adult death syndrome. we used to have sudden infant death syndrome because up until the age of 1, babies are basically just little wiggling meat sacks that could die at any second. And that's, unfortunately, that's a fact. You have to really, really take care of an infant for that first year. Once they get to be about a year old, they can start, kind of. You don't have to worry about them so much, but up until that point, man, I don't like being around babies. I never really have because they die way quick. I've never had kids, but I have been around other people's kids after the age of 1 or 2, and they're cool. But babies, little tiny infants, before the age of 1, man, they can anything could happen to those kids, and they could just die. I've told the story before of our neighbor. One of our neighbor's daughters brought over one of their babies. That this was one of those families that the mom had worked on her fifth, had just had her fifth kid, um, because welfare only covers up to 5 kids before the money starts, before it doesn't start paying for itself, pretty much. It's welfare will cover up to 5 kids, and then after that, you don't get nearly as much money for it. So you will see the standard single mom, 5 kids. I've seen it too many times. Anyways, but one of the other daughters brought over the baby, and it was dead. It had just died in its crib. I don't know why. I didn't ask. But she brought it over and asked if I knew CPR. And unfortunately, that baby was blue. Once something is dead for long enough, you can kind of tell. And it was like, and that messed me up, you know? That's sudden infant death syndrome. Babies can die at any second. Any, any second. You have to really, really watch out for babies. You have to take care of them pretty much until about the age of 1 or 2. By then, they're able to kind of exist in the world. It's a very fragile system. But now that I've brought you down with that story, now apparently we have sudden adult death syndrome, where adults can just fall over dead, which has never happened before. Never. We've never had this. We've never had this as a thing. If you believe your own history, within the 100,000 years that human beings have supposedly existed on this world, if you believe your own history, that we have had people just suddenly just die. Now I get it, people die, and people suddenly die, but not so much so that we have to name it sudden adult death syndrome. We do that for infants because it happens, because they suddenly die, sometimes for explained reasons and sometimes for unexplained reasons, because they are fragile, they are delicate. Adult human beings are not that fragile and delicate that they could just magically just suddenly die. The fact that all of these adults are just falling over dead, mostly to heart attacks or myocarditis or blood clots after 2021, should make everybody question everything, but nobody does. Nobody does. Actually, I've heard people say, well, in order to save everybody, sometimes we have to break a few eggs. You're going to get people that you're going to get how do I describe this? In order to come on now. It was a nurse, and she was saying that there is going to be people that die from the injections. And that's just a sad fact of life because it is such a new injection. But it is more important that we have the injections, that people dying because of them is only a secondary thing. So basically, in other words, it's okay to break a few eggs to make the omelet. And that's pissed me off more than anything else. Because that's justifying. That's justifying thousands and thousands of people just magically dying in order to, quote unquote, save one life. You remember? We flattened the curve to save a life. You remember that? You couldn't go see your grandparents because you didn't want them to die. You had to wear a mask to save one life. You had to give up your business, give up your livelihood, shut down your shops, shut down everything in the world just to save one life. And yet, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people die because of the injections, and it's breaking a few eggs. People are sick. People are sick and disgusting. Where was I going with that? Tie it back together. Depopulation. We're starting to see it. We're starting to see people dying in droves. The normies don't want to see it. I've heard so many people say, "Oh, my, whatever died. My cousin, my aunt, my uncle, my whatever passed away." It's very tragic. I've had so many people that I have talked to that have had so many deaths in their family. And maybe it's just because it's that time in my life. I don't know. I'm 45. Maybe people are just starting to die. But I'm hearing of 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 20-year-olds. Apparently the new thing now is that kids 6 to 12 years old can have myocarditis. Something that has never happened before. But they're advertising for it now. It is such a shit show. But you're starting to see it. People are starting to die. People are starting to just keel over dead. And I don't know. Whatever. Okay. Here you go, YouTube. This is me towing your party line. I don't know what's causing all these people to die. There might not be any cause whatsoever. I only worry that any more people that could die, we might not know what killed them either. And now here's what I can say to get kicked off of YouTube. It seems to me that most of the people that are dying because they took the injections. It just seems to me. And we have to have that conversation. We really do. I don't care if that's what's killing them or not. We have to have this conversation. Because again, these terms were not a thing 2 years ago. They're a thing now. And I have to wonder, for all the people that took the injections that have not died, what does that mean for them? Because they're still out there telling us we need to keep getting shots, keep getting boosters, keep getting all these things. Somebody talked about it being a game of roulette and they have to take away the gun. And I've been saying this is a game of roulette, and there's only 6 chambers in a gun. One of those has to have a bullet. But you're starting to see it. You're starting to see people die off, and that's what they want. They don't care. They don't care. If they cared, they would have stopped. But they're not stopping. They're going full force ahead. They're going absolutely full force ahead. And, if your governments cared about anything, they would stop everything. But they're not stopping anything. They're going full force ahead because they want it. Because again, you can't control 7 billion people, each with digital IDs and digital currencies, going out and doing all of these things. I don't think any computer system in the world can handle that. Now, I could see a computer system handling a smaller number, maybe 1 billion, maybe less, but it would be a nice controllable population. You think about it for a second. It's 500 million. What did I say it was that 7 billion people, and they are the 1%. Let's just say it's 7.5. I think it's 7.5 million people. Or no, I can't do that. No, I can't work calculator. Let's just say 7.5 billion people. Billion. 7.5 billion people, and they are the 1%. It says 0.01%. 75 million. I've done these calculations before. So the 1% of the world, the population that owns 99% of the world. 75 million. That sounds about right. That would sound about right for families. If you had one huge family that just continued to reproduce and grow, and 75 million people own 99% of the entire wealth of the world. Well, I think it's 90% of the wealth, whatever it is. 75 million people. And they want 500 million. 500 million minus 75 million is 425 million. How many per person is that? About 6 slaves per person, is that right? Let's give or take. Seven slaves. About 7 slaves per person. So you gotta think about it that way. Each one of them has between 6 and 7 slaves per person. That sounds about right. You have one of those slaves being a doctor to take care of the people. You have one of those slaves being a police officer or a warden of some sort. You don't even need a doctor for that, do you? Let's just say 2 out of the 6, so that they can have control. 2 out of the 6 of those are some kind of military, because they need to have some kind of control over you. That leaves 4 people. 4 normal people for every 1 billionaire. That sounds about right. And I was going to try to do a whole male female thing with that, but that doesn't work because they can reproduce kids anytime they want to now. They just clone them in vats. So then, what are we looking at there? 4 true slaves per one rich elitist asshole. That sounds about right, man. And that is a system of control that I think that they could get behind. And that starts with controlling the money system, controlling and tracking where everybody goes, keeping them in places where they could go. Now, we talk about the maps that the UN has created, where the world is divided into regions. Especially the map, I can't remember the name of the map that came out like 5 years ago, that was the map of the United States, where they had cut off the entire central portion of the United States. They completely cut it off. You can't go there. And that the rest of the outer edges, the East Coast and the West Coast, were divided into megacities. Megacity regions where you could only live in these places. You couldn't travel, because just about everything was protected, by natural forests. So you had to be stuck inside of these cities. So we're talking about 450 million people divided around these regions, these megacities. Let's just say that you did, I don't know, 30 megacities around the world. I mean, even for America, I think there was only like 10. And I'm sure that in the UK, there would probably only be maybe 2. In Europe, there might be another 10, 15. The biggest cities. China, there might be 10, 15 on its own. Australia is a prison planet, so I doubt that they're prison island. So I doubt that they're going to be playing along with this game. So yeah, maybe about 40 cities, 30 cities. Let's just say 30 cities. That would be about 20 million people per city, which sounds about right. That sounds very science fiction-y. Logan's Run. Soylent Green, because Soylent Green said that they had 44 million people in New York. I don't remember how many people they said lived in Logan's Run city, but you have to think that it's got to be that same kind of thing. And everybody is stuck in the city. You work where you live. Pretty much you walk 5 minutes to work. You go do your work. You come home. They say that your apartment's going to be shared. You will own nothing, and you will be happy. But everything's going to be on that control grid. You will walk to work. You will be monitored while you walk to work to make sure you're walking, because you're not going to have a car. You're going to earn your special credits for just walking to work. Whatever you do at work, you're going to be monitored for that to make sure that you actually work. If you don't work well enough, they're going to know, because your body, your movements, your tracking system will show that you didn't work out well. So you're not going to earn those credits for those times that you didn't work. And it will probably be like that. If you even get a break, you will not be paid for. You don't even get paid for a lunch now. That was the most ridiculous thing. I was actually alive to see a business go from paid lunches to non-paid lunches, where you could just go in, work 8 hours, get a 30-minute paid lunch, and go home. I saw that same business go from an 8-hour workday to an 8.5-hour workday where you got an unpaid lunch. So you were having to stay there an extra 30 minutes. I work 9 hours a day now because I get an hour lunch where I work. So I am working from 8 o'clock until 5 o'clock. That's 9 hours with a 1 hour unpaid lunch. Think about that for a second. Even if you get breaks, they would be unpaid breaks. So you would be getting unpaid breaks, unpaid lunches, if they even give it to you at all, to where half of your day would be spent going to work. You get home and you could have whatever the hell it is they want you to have at home. You would be eating your bugs. You wouldn't have to own anything because there'd be no money, because they would have probably gotten rid of money by then, because what's the point at that? At that point, why would they want to give you any cash? Why would they want to give you any money at all if you're just going to live in a place and have nothing? They're going to take the money out automatically. Anything that you need, you're going to still have the ability to be able to go and buy your own food and maybe, buy little trinkets of things here and there, but that's only going to be to keep you quiet. Because people want to think that they're not being controlled, so they have to give you that little bit. But all of these systems are in place so that you will be manipulated into thinking this is the best thing ever. And it's not. You've been slowly conditioned over the past 10 years to think that less is more. Smaller houses, smaller cars, smaller portions. You're now being limited on the amount of food that you can buy at the store. You're being told that you need to lower your expectations more and more and more. Oh, not only that, but the standards. Standards have dropped on everything. Food tastes like shit now. Any kind of food, any kind of restaurant you go to now just tastes like shit. Because they have lowered their standards more and more and more. To the point that nothing is what it used to be. There used to be so much better before. Now it's just all garbage. But they want you to lower all those standards that you used to have. Lower all those expectations. Have smaller things, smaller houses. Not try to fix the things that you used to have. It's use once and throw away kind of culture that they have now. Which I still don't understand how any of that is climate friendly, but whatever. But just to get you conditioned to the point that you will take less and less and less, so that when they eventually drop the bomb on you, that, well, you don't have to take any more now. All you have to do is, now that you're at this point, and now that you have lower standards and you don't need to have anything, then why don't you just move into this stack and pack apartment where you get to share it with 5 other people that you get to own nothing. Of course, everybody might ask the question, well, how in the world are they going to do that? Because all the stuff I have now, I own. Well, that's not going to be very hard at all. Well, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to crash the system, which is what they're building to. I don't care if you believe that or not. They're going to crash the system. Because their whole thing, from the very beginning, this isn't just within the past 10 years, 20 years, from the very beginning of your banknotes, it has said order out of chaos, new world order, order out of chaos. I think it's what it is. I can't remember exactly what it is. They've said that over and over and over again. They want to tear the system down in order to build it back up the way that they want to. It's the Hegelian dialectic. They create the problem, they give you a solution. They give you the problem, you cry out that there's a problem because you have no sovereignty to be able to fix it yourself, and then they give you the solution. So it has to fail. Everybody keeps saying, "Oh, everything's going to break and everything's going to fall apart because everything just doesn't make any sense." And so many people, so many truthers are out there saying, "No, it's falling apart because they want it to fall apart. You just can't see it. You want to believe that everything is all hunky-dory and nothing's bad in the world, but no, there are men that are actively working against you in order to destroy everything you've ever worked for. You have to fight back, but nobody wants to fight back." But they crash the system and they let it fall apart because they don't care. They're not going to give a shit. They're not going to give a shit at all. They have found the way to. They have found the best ways to crash the system. The biggest way that they're going to crash the system is they're just going to shut everything off. I think that's going to be part of it. They're going to call it some kind of emergency energy crisis or something. And they're going to let people just destroy themselves, which is exactly what's going to happen. They're going to let people destroy themselves. They're going to let the people that are going to be pissed off at it try to take over, and they're just going to either imprison all of them or kill all of them, or both. They're going to have everybody else basically tear each other apart. There will probably be a war. You will probably have some big wars. We're right on the brink of nuclear annihilation now, with Russia and America. That's going to be part of it, I'm sure. Even though nuclear devastation I don't think is real anymore, but whatever. But you have this massive war coming, which is going to kill a lot of people. And then after that, you're going to have starvation. You're going to have all kinds of things, not to mention, whatever it is that they are putting into people's bodies that may or may not kill them. Any number of ways of doing it. That way, when they decide to turn the system back on, that all of these things that we had in place before, the cash, the ATMs, the bank cards, all of this will mean nothing, and they'll just be like, hey, we've got this system now that just happens to, we were working on before everything fell apart, and while everything was falling apart, we happened to make this stuff work. So now all you have to do is, come to the major cities, because your houses are gone, because they will probably find some way to wipe out, all of the places in the suburbs. They will say, the only places that you can work now are in the cities. We will give you an apartment. We will give you an apartment. We will give you X amount of dollars per month in order to live on. All you have to do is wear this bracelet, take this tracking chip, take whatever it is that we offer you, and you can live here and you can exist here, and we will give you money. We'll take care of you. We'll take care of you. And that's how they herd everybody into the cities. And you let that exist for 10, 20 years, get people used to it. Probably even less than that. Who knows? People get used to things really quick now. They are so brainwashed and just taking whatever people give to them. Within 10 years, people will be conditioned to understand this is the new way, the new order of life, and you're a slave. Da-da-da-da. There you go. That's it. There are other aspects to it, of course, other things that I'm missing, but that's the future. that's that's pretty much the future, unless God decides to come back and fix it. That's what it's going to be like. And I do think that's what it's going to be like for a while. Because the book of Revelation says that we're going to go through tribulation. But it said that all of these things were in effect before the tribulation started coming. So all of that stuff I just said has to happen. It has to be in effect before the tribulation happens. And once they get everybody in, once they get everybody programmed into thinking, this is the new way, this is the new life, this is the new structure and reality of it all, then they can simply say, look, we did it. We finally have peace. We finally have security of money, security of life, security of food. And when they say peace and security, that is when destruction will fall upon them quickly. That, I think, is going to be how it works. No, I don't think the end of the world is right around the corner. I still believe that it's going to happen 2030, maybe a little bit sooner. A lot of people have said 2028, and I am kind of on that one. At the same time, I keep saying, you could have another 400 years of this. I don't know. You have to remember that the Israelites were not held captive in Egypt for 400 years. It was, according to the timeline, it was barely even 350 years. You could look at the enslavement of blacks in America for 400 years. It's a possibility, but I don't know if we can believe that history. I have a feeling, though, that it is a total world enslavement that could last for another 400 years. And that's possible. That's absolutely possible. Because what is the Jewish calendar? Supposed Hebrew calendar, Jewish calendar, I think says that we are in calendar. The current Hebrew year is 5783. Oh, that's actually less than I thought it was. I thought it was like 55 something. So if they say it's supposedly a 6,000 year calendar, which I don't know if that's true or not, then that's 217 years. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if I want to believe that or not. Sorry, I had a yawn. But I know it's possible. Anything's possible. Anything's possible. We don't know the true time or date, but we do know that it is very very, very possible that they could do it all within 10 years. Believe it or not, they could do it all in 10 years. Or they could spread it out over 200 years. They're gonna force you to do this either way. And this new executive order, like I said, what was it? 14067. 14067. This new executive order just got signed to where they could start looking into the controlling of central bank digital currencies. Is just another stepping stone. And everything else is in place. I had to take another drink of water before I start choking here, man. Everything else is in place for this digital currency to just pop in and automatically be controlled. Again, the passports, the digital identifications, the microchips, everything. It's not a conspiracy anymore. It's just out in the open now. It's all in place. Will they use it? They don't have to use it, but they can because it's there, because it's all out in the open now. People have been warning about this for many, many years. There were people in the 1990s that were talking about this kind of stuff, and everybody was like, "Oh, ha ha ha, that's so silly. It's nothing like that." You know, now you got like 30 years later, and there it is. So you have to understand it's another one of these stepping stones. And it's not stopping because people just aren't paying attention. I don't know how many people are going to pay attention to this video. People just they're not going to pay attention. And we have to start telling people about this. Opening people's eyes, just saying, "Look, you have to pay attention. See it for yourself. You could lose everything." It's like I said before. It wasn't until I started talking about money that I kind of snapped my own father. I kind of snapped his eyes open a little bit. It's all there. They've been putting it in place slowly but surely, and now they have it to where they could easily force everybody, not only in America, but the entire world, because it will trickle out. Not only in America, everybody they could force to follow along with this. And that's what they want. So I don't know what to tell you. You either stand up against it, learn what's happening in the world, or you're going to be bulldozed over by it. And unfortunately, it just seems like more and more people are just more than willing to just throw up their hands and just let it happen. So many people are going to get hurt and killed because of this. And I don't know what else to say, man. I don't know what else to say. But this is coming. It's coming full steam ahead. If you don't stop it now, if you don't stand up and stop it now, you're going to lose everything you've ever worked for and loved in your entire life. And that does not go against anything biblical. We can use the sword of the spirits of truth in order to fight this. We can at least push it back so that we can save more people. And if not, then all I can do is pray to the Father that He gives us comfort and support and shows us the way that we need to go in order to be able to survive this and to help as many people as possible survive through this. I'm going to stop now. I think I've said my piece enough. I can go through this over and over and over again. Feels like I've already had this conversation, but this is just another one of those. It's such a follow up to the RFID, the cryptocurrency, the patent. That the video that I did, was it last year, 2 years ago, that got like a whole bunch of views. It just blew up, just absolutely blew up, because it was right after I think I was, to be fair, I was maybe one of the second group of people that started talking about it. I wasn't the first. I think before I heard about it, there was only like maybe 6 or 7 people talking about it, and then I was like a part of that second wave, and it just kind of exploded from there. Now everybody talks about the 06, 06, 06, but I was like right there at the front of it, and it's just everybody kind of watched that video. But it's just stepping stones. It's all it is. It just keeps building and building and building and building and building, and there's not a lot of people that are fighting against it. It's just more people they're more than happy to just let things happen until it just swallows them whole. All right, I've got to stop. I got to do something about my throat, man. Holy smokes. Um That's your Wednesday talk. There you go. I actually had my Bible open the whole time because I was going to do Isaiah 51, but apparently not. You got to follow, again, usually on Wednesdays, I would try to follow something on Facebook, but something to look into, man. 14, what was it? 140. Oh, goodness. I lost it. Lost it. I gotta go back to it again because I just shut Facebook down. Now Facebook doesn't work. There you go. 14076. I wonder what the gematria of that would be. Who knows? Who knows? I wonder if I could just look that up. Let me see here. Just a real quick, just to see what 14076 is. Apparently it's in Gasport, New York. It's the zip code. But then there's executive order. What is executive order 14067? Ensuring responsible development of digital assets. Pretty much. Oh, there you go. There's a fact check. Executive Order 14067 directed the federal government to weigh the risk of using digital currency, but it will oh wait, what? Will allow the federal government to turn on and turn off your money. That is exactly what it will do. But it says it does not allow the government to electronically control money. No, it allows them to start reports on how they can use the money to be able, or use digital currency to be able to it allows reports to be able to be made to see how digital currency could be used, especially in regards to stopping the use of money for terrorism, climate change, and other systems. You have to read it. It doesn't directly come out and say, "Oh, we're going to make all your money digital," and we're going to. No, it is a report on how they can use the money, set up the money in a way in order so that people do not abuse it. What that means also is that the government has to have some kind of control over where this money goes. And if it is a terrorist organization, they could very easily turn that money off, which means that if they consider you a terrorist, they can turn your money off. We've already seen that whenever the Canadian truckers did their little convoy thing, and the Canadian government actually stopped the bank accounts of the people that donated to the trucker protest. They did that. They stopped their bank accounts. This is the same kind of thing. If you don't toe the party line, the government can very easily go in there and turn that money off. It doesn't explicitly say it, but this is the start. This is a stepping stone. But of course, they've already got fact checkers. Now, I bet you this is probably fact checked. This is probably fact checked as soon as it was made. Let's see, when was this actually? March 9th of 2022. This fact check was less than a month later. Less than a month later. No, he's not getting rid of cash yet, but it's just another stepping stone. This is another stepping stone. This is another thing that you have to look out for. All of these systems are slowly but surely falling into place. All of the systems are falling into place. They are already there. It's not that they're going to use it automatically. It's that when it comes time, they can very easily put them all together. And again, once you lose cash, you lose your life because they have the ability to control it. And if you don't trust your government to be able to control your money now, how in the hell are you going to trust your government to be able to control your money when they have power over everything? Just saying. I gotta stop. I could keep going, but I'm not. I shall talk to you guys later. God bless y'all. Take care of yourselves. Don't come at it whenever you talk to people. Don't come at it as if, oh, this is going to be the end of the world. This is going to be this. This is going to be that. Tell them this is just another stepping stone. Tell them they have this other stuff in place too. Tell them there's all these other kinds of things as well. That it's possible for them to use it, but they're not going to use it immediately. But all of these things are in place that we are told, especially if you live in the United States of America, we are told to not trust your government. You were never meant to give your government this much power. Ever. And yet we did. But you can't trust it. If you find somebody that trusts their government that explicitly, then remind them of what their history is. Remind them of the German people and the Nazi government, if you want to believe your own history. Remind them of that. Remind them how easy it is for people to get swayed. Remind them that you always have to be vigilant. Keep your eyes open. Yes, just because they have it doesn't mean they won't use it. But it's there, and they might. And it's what they want. So many people have said that's what they want. They've said it themselves. That's what they want. So we have to start looking at these things. So anyways, I will talk to y'all later. God bless every one of you. Take care of yourselves, man. Seriously. See you later.